Hey, everybody, welcome back into another edition of To The Point Podcast. Everybody's doing well. On this Tuesday, we're almost through August, and it's August 30th, and it's a Tuesday, and normally Tuesdays are kind of a quiet day, but it's an important day in the sports calendar. It's an important day for a lot of young athletes today because it's NFL cut day. Rosters are cut from 90 to 53 by 4 p.m. Eastern, so 5 p.m. Atlantic. Teams have to have their 53-man roster sent into the league, and over 400 players are cut today. It's very much a joyous day and then a very sad day for a lot of people. I've got a list of people that are cut we're going to go through today. We're going to go through a number of things with the NFL. Shamus is going to join as he usually does on Tuesdays. I believe he wants to talk some NFL, have some storylines. We're going to have some fun today on the show. Little fun game that I teased yesterday that we will get into. I can't wait to do it. I think it's going to be fun. I hope you guys enjoy it. We'll get to that in a little bit. And let's just start with the NFL. It's cut down day. Unless you're a great athlete, which I was not. I played hockey, I played basketball. I was adequate at both. Better at hockey than I was at basketball, but I was never great. I've been cut from teams. I'm sure most of you listening have been cut from a team, or you're put on a bench. You're not given the opportunities. There's just a time in your life, maybe getting fired is where I can correlate this, where you're not valued, or you're seen as somebody is better than you at this certain task, and it's hurtful. I mean, we're all human beings. And today, 400 men will be cut across the NFL as rosters get cut down. And the interesting thing is, well, is that guy going to be on a practice squad? Or, oh, that guy made the team. He looked good in camp. But the big thing today is so many guys, this could be it. For a lot of these guys that get cut today, their NFL, their pro football careers are over. And that's truly how it is. It's over. You went to college. You were an undrafted free agent from, say, Nebraska. You got an opportunity. You signed a contract with the team. You went to training camp. You were in shape. You did everything you could to put yourself in a position to make the team, right? But it just didn't happen. You weren't as talented. There was too many players at your position. And ultimately, you might fall through the cracks. And before you know it, you're back in your hometown in North Dakota, and you're working a regular job like the rest of us. We don't hear those stories. We hear about the success ones. The undrafted guy that made the team, Wes Walker, Julian Edelman in New England, that was a seventh-round pick, that was a quarterback at Kent State that transferred into a wide receiver in the NFL. You hear about those good stories. I think of a guy today who didn't even make it through all of training camp, but he came to mind because I've got college football on the brain. De'Aaron King was a quarterback at the University of Houston and at the U last year. He had a fantastic college career, played 6 seasons as a starting quarterback because of the COVID year. He had a very, very solid college career. And he was an undrafted free agent because he's blown out his knee a few times in college. And he went to New England's camp, and they wanted to convert him into a wide receiver, not even be a quarterback anymore. And he got cut in early July. He didn't even get into training camp. His career's over. I looked up his football wiki because I was interested, because there's certain guys you want to see where they end up. And it's a sad day. You see veterans that get cut that you're like, wow, their career might be done. Maybe they're a scrap heap guy for 1 year, and then before you know it, they're out of the league. Todd Gurley, 3 years ago, led the NFL in rushing, and he nearly won the NFL MVP award. Currently, he's unemployed. He did not play last year. Todd Gurley, the Rams' great running back, the great running back of the University of Georgia, is out of the league, if you can believe it. This can happen quick. Some guys get opportunities because of injuries. Every sport. You get signed, you get a second, third, fourth chance because of necessity. You might not be the first, second, third, fourth, fifth option, but you need somebody to scoop up. Aiden Hill is getting a job in Vegas. Got traded last night to Vegas. I don't think because they love the goaltender. It's because they don't have anybody else that's better. He might be the starting goaltender in Vegas come day one. Looking at this NFL system right now, some of the big names, and I'm an NFL geek, and pardon me for going through this, but Sony Michel is, I think if you're familiar with the NFL, you know what I mean when I say Sony Michel. He was originally drafted by the New England Patriots. He won a Super Bowl with the New England Patriots. He was then moved around, and he actually got traded to the Rams last season. He won a Super Bowl with the LA Rams. He's 27-year-old running back, a two-time Super Bowl champion. He was cut today. Sony Michel is now free to sign with any team. I'm not sure he's going to have any suitors. These older running backs don't get many looks. You have a couple seasons that you really have to play well. After that, you're tossed away. Todd Gurley was out of the NFL at 28 years old. Sony Michel's a year younger. That tracks. Todd Gurley was an elite running back. Sony Michel has never worked out to be what they thought he was going to be coming out of Georgia. He's gone. Dolphins cut him today. Dolphins also cut second-year wide receiver Lynn Bowden. He had a really solid college career. It looked like he was going to be a star. They have a loaded wide receiver group with Jalen Waddle and with Tyreek Hill, and we'll talk about the AFC East tomorrow when I do the preview show tomorrow afternoon. I think he'll get picked up, but Lynn Bowden, another guy he's cut in training camp. I talked yesterday about Chris Streveler with the New York Jets. If you recall, he was a former Winnipeg Blue Bomber, was a Grey Cup MVP, and he's bounced around the last couple of years. He spent last season with the Arizona Cardinals. He was then cut. The Jets brought him in for training camp, and he was the star of the preseason. He had the most passing yards in all of the preseason football. He had the most rushing yards. He did everything he physically could to make the team. The Jets have a deep quarterback room. Now, you might say that it's a deep quarterback room with no talent. Won't push you on that. But they got Zach Wilson, second overall pick. He might miss the first couple weeks, but they're not going to cut him. They got Joe Flacco, the wily veteran who knows the system. They're not going to cut him. Somehow he's still in the league. And Mike White, I haven't heard if he's been cut yet or not. I'm going to update that as we go along. If they're going to they'll keep Mike White for a couple weeks anyway until Zach Wilson's healthy. So Chris Streveler is the odd man out with the New York Jets. He's going to be cut. He could be a practice squad guy, but the way he played in training camp, I wouldn't be surprised if teams kick tires on Chris Streveler. And the first team that comes to mind for me is the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions have Jared Goff, who will be the starting quarterback. They initially had Tim Boyle, who was on the roster last year, was a backup quarterback for Aaron Rodgers for a few seasons, and David Blau, who's been with Detroit his whole career. He's a sixth-round pick. He started, I think, 2 games in his career, and he's just a backup quarterback. Tim Boyle was cut today. The veteran backup was released by the Detroit Lions. His career could very well be over. But I look around, and Chris Streveler could easily be the backup quarterback for the Detroit Lions. He is better than David Blau. And if I'm Detroit, I'm reaching out to Streveler. I'm not letting him sign a practice squad deal with the Jets. Come over to my team, be our backup quarterback. We've seen this happen with Minnesota. They traded with Vegas. They got Big Nick Mullins. And today they cut Kellen Mond, who is a second-year quarterback out of Texas A&M. He's now available. A surprise cut to me, but he was terrible in training camp. They talked about it. Sean Mannion's a veteran. They'll likely keep him, although maybe he's cut as well, to play alongside Kirk Cousins. So Streveler was a surprise cut to me, but I think he's going to land on his feet. And my guess, just based on necessity and just need, I think the Detroit Lions would be a really good landing spot for Chris Streveler. Not to mention they need him, but also just looking at opportunity, maybe he gets to play this year. I don't know. Jared Goff is good. I think Streveler, there could be an injury. If I'm Chris Streveler and I get a call from the Detroit Lions, I am all in on going there because it's a perfect spot for me to have some success. The Giants would be my other location. They cut Davis Webb today, who was another quarterback who had a really good preseason. He's bounced around the NFL. This was his second stint with the Giants. They're going to keep Daniel Jones, of course. They also have Tyrod Taylor. Apparently, his injury is not that serious because they were able to cut Davis Webb. But the Giants could have an opening there where Strebler could work out and beat out Tyrod Taylor for the backup job. I don't know. Again, these are all different possibilities, but I'm just looking at the situation, and I think these are potentially options for him. A few other big cuts. O.J. Howard, the Buffalo Bills. O.J. Howard's a former first-round pick of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he's never worked out. He just hasn't. He's a big guy. Early in his second season, he tore his Achilles. And for a big tight end who's 6'6", 260 pounds, he just has not been able to bounce back. The Bucs let him walk last year. Now, before even the season starts, the Bills are going to cut him. They have Dawson Knox, but I thought he'd be a good number 2 tight end, and apparently he can't do it. With his injury history and just his lack of production in tow, I wouldn't be surprised if O.J. Howard is done in the NFL. That's another big one. I thought O.J. Howard would have been a lock to make the roster in Buffalo. He's not. Danny Shelton, he's a veteran nose tackle, was a first-round pick of the Cleveland Browns back in the day. He was cut by the Kansas City Chiefs today, so they're moving on from Danny Shelton. Philip Lindsay, a former Bronco who was a great story. He was a 5th or 6th round pick, I can't recall. But he had a couple good seasons in Denver where he had some success on bad teams. But then, like any running back, you have a lot of carries. You have a lot of wear and tear. They cut him. He plays in Houston last year. He was at the Colts camp. And they have depth at the position with Jonathan Taylor, with Nakeem Hines. And they decide that Philip Lindsay was expendable. With running back depth, Lindsay was cut. Duke Johnson was cut by the Bills. These guys could be unemployed for a week or two, but with an injury, they'll be signed to an active roster just to have a guy there to put on a uniform just in case of an injury during a game. Another big cut, Tyler Johnson. He's a wide receiver out of Minnesota with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was cut today. That's a Tom Brady move. I think Brady and Johnson have never had a great connection. I think they looked at Johnson as a guy that was going to break out. I'm not sure he understood the complete route tree. He seemed confused at times, and he had a case of the drops. So his time in Tampa Bay is over. Maybe a team will take a look at him because he has a lot of potential talent there. And Adam Schefter's tweeting out as we're speaking here. The Las Vegas Raiders waive former first-round pick Alex Leatherwood per source. Leatherwood was, like as Schefter mentioned, a first-round pick out of Alabama. The Raiders can waive some of these guys that they had on their roster because it's a whole new, bunch of new people working, new GM, new head coach. They don't need to keep former first-round picks like Leatherwood. I'm interested to see if Cleveland Farrell makes it through. He's another first-round pick that hasn't worked out. Henry Ruggs was a first-round pick 2 years ago. He's obviously in jail. And Damon Arnett was a first-round pick 3 years ago. He was cut from the team for having a firearm and being online last year talking about wanting to shoot people and hurt them. So they've been drafting horrible. Another tweet here from Schefter. Another surprise. Texans are releasing veteran running back Marlon Mack. Dameon Pierce, I talked about him a couple of days ago. I think he's going to be the stud for the Houston Texans. He's going to be the bell cow back. Mack was a guy coming in with a lot of wear and tear, was with the Colts for a long time. So another veteran running back that just bites the dust, if you will. So cuts are coming left and right. There's ones that, become more prevalent than others. And it's a tough day, like I said, for a lot of these guys. And there's also trades because you don't want to cut a guy outright. You want to get something for him. The Eagles have a loaded roster. New Orleans has a salary cap problem, but they also have a defense that has been one of the best in the NFL, as we talked about yesterday. Well, C.J. Gardner-Johnson was becoming expendable because of Tyrann Mathieu going to the New Orleans Saints. So New Orleans traded C.J. Gardner-Johnson today to the Philadelphia Eagles for a 5th-round pick. And the Eagles, I've talked about them. They're my pick to win the NFC East. Their roster is just loaded. Great offensive line, Great skill position players. I like Jalen Hurts is not a great quarterback, but I like him. And Gardner Johnson only helps their defense. They have a loaded roster. I love what they're doing in Philadelphia. They're aggressive in the offseason to get better, to help Jalen Hurts, to improve an offensive line. They made the playoffs last year. They want to improve on that this season. And I think Gardner Johnson's a sneaky good player that the Saints wouldn't love to lose. They wouldn't love to lose him for a fifth-round pick. But when you're in salary cap hell, when you have no options, you have to do things that you don't want to do. And that's what they were forced to today, was just take it on the chin, say see you to CJ Gardner-Johnson, and move on. They still have a good team, and they have to look at it that way, because it would be really depressing just to look around and say, we gave up a great roster player for a fifth-round pick that can't help us this season, where, to me, the Saints' expectations internally are to win the NFC South. Yes, the Bucs are the FanDuel betting favorite. Yes, the Bucs are one of the heavy favorites to win the Super Bowl. But the Saints don't give a shit about Vegas. The Saints don't give a shit about what the bookies are saying. The Saints are looking internally at their roster, saying, we can do this. We own Tampa Bay. We know how to beat this team. Jameis Winston's back healthy. Michael Thomas is back healthy. We got the Honey Badger. We still have our defense is rocking. Cam Jordan is still in his prime. Let's go win this division. Let's make a run at the Super Bowl. Will they? I think they'll be a competitive team, but that's the way they're thinking, and that's how you have to approach it, because losing a player of that value, I don't think will be well received in the locker room, because they know he can help the team, and ultimately he goes to another NFC team that could potentially hurt them down the line. On the show, I admit when I'm right and I admit when I'm wrong. Yesterday, I was wrong, because I said at the end of the show that Jimmy Garoppolo, a.k.a. Porn Star Jimmy, one of my favorites, would be cut by the San Francisco 49ers today, and he would be a free agent. He would likely go to the Giants, I think I said. But I said I don't think there's a key team for him to go to. But in a surprising move, this happened last night, the San Francisco 49ers agreed with Jimmy G to restructure his contract, turn it into a one-year deal worth $7 million guaranteed. It can be worth up to $16 million guaranteed with playing time and different bonuses. This drops his cap hit down from, it was going to be $27 million, but it's now a $7 million this year for Jimmy Garoppolo. He's given a full no trade. So if in the event that there is an injury, he doesn't want to go to a team that's weak or could he potentially be injured, he has every right to veto it. So he could be a 49er for this entire season, then go into next year's offseason and sign where he wants to play. And ultimately, the big news here is that Jimmy Garoppolo will be the backup quarterback behind Trey Lance. It's a complete flip from last year where Jimmy G was the starter and Trey Lance was the backup. But I got to say, I love this move by Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and the San Francisco 49ers, and I also love it by Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'll take through both sides. For the 49ers, I've talked about this. You can't have enough quarterbacks. You're going to cut a guy that you know can get to a Super Bowl because he's done it once and was a few plays away from doing it again last year. You're going to cut a guy that knows your system. You know the quarterback extremely well. You know that he's a good guy. He's got a good demeanor. He's been a great teammate. It's hard just to part with somebody like that. And kudos to them for working out a way for him to stay. Now, he has to take that, his ego, and erase money. But he knows that if they cut him, he's not going to make that money anyway. It wasn't guaranteed. He'd have to make the roster opening day to be guaranteed that $27 million. He wouldn't have made $7 million from any other team. But having a guy with rapport, he's not, to me, I heard, well, you can't have him sitting there with Trey Lance. He's not a threat because Trey Lance was drafted 3rd overall. Trey Lance has been lauded as the next great talent in the NFL, where Jimmy Garoppolo, you know what Jimmy Garoppolo is. He's a guy that relies on a strong running game. He can make a few big throws, but he's not going to win you any games. He's going to be a game manager quarterback that just moves the ball down the field, and you can rely on that. But he's not going to be a game changer. He's not going to move outside the pocket. He doesn't even have half the ability that Trey Lance has when it comes to his ability to use his legs and use that effectively to help the team win. So Jimmy G is not a threat. He is just there. He's there if there's a problem. And I think that's a great position for him to be in. So I applaud San Francisco for not just cutting a good player just because it was a salary cap issue. Work it out, try to find some kind of solution. I applaud them for that, and having a good backup quarterback is invaluable in the NFL. Having that position as a strength is awesome for me. So I think this was a really, really good decision by the 49ers to bring Jimmy Garoppolo back. I also think this is a great move for Jimmy Garoppolo. Here's why. I just talked about why he would have got cut. He wouldn't have made the $27 million anyway. He wouldn't have made $7 million in the open market, believe you me, because nobody was trading a 4th or 5th round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. He gets to stay in San Francisco. Worst case this year for Jimmy is that he sits the entire year. So the last thing you remember was that Jimmy Garoppolo was in an NFC Championship game. He gets to sit and be a backup quarterback to Trey Lance. He gets to recover from his surgery in his shoulder. So he gets to recover there. He gets to mentor a guy so teams will see this. And not to mention, he doesn't have to start for a really bad team. He doesn't have to go to New York and get killed behind that offensive line. He doesn't have to go play for Seattle in his own division where Seattle's going to stink. You don't want to be Geno Smith in that position where you know they're just hoping you lose games and see what happens. He doesn't have to go to a bad situation. He doesn't have to be in a bad spot. He gets to sit there on a team that can legitimately say, we can get to the Super Bowl this year. It's not crazy to say that San Francisco will win the Super Bowl at the end of the year. Jimmy Garoppolo could be a part of that team. Maybe he's in a couple games. Trey Lance takes a hit. He gets in and plays. This is a win-win. I don't think Trey Lance is going to be worried about Jimmy Garoppolo sitting behind him. If he is, then maybe he's not your quarterback to begin with. But they worked together well last season. Jimmy can come back. He can get healthy. Trey Lance can start his career as the quarterback of the future for the San Francisco 49ers. And Jimmy Garoppolo can depart after this season. Maybe Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't spend the whole year in San Francisco. But for him with a no trade, I'm not going to a bad situation. I'm not going to the Giants if Daniel Jones is struggling and he's injured. I'm not, because that's not going to be a good spot. You're not going to play well. And look how it hurts your value. Baker Mayfield had a bad year in Cleveland. He got traded for a conditional 5th. I think Garoppolo sits, even gets in a few games with that San Francisco 49ers team this year. He will get more looks next season. He will get more of an opportunity. His market will be larger than it is right now for him. It's a smart business by both teams. Why go to a bad team if you don't have to? If that's your solution next year, you have to go to a team that isn't, let's just say, in title contention, then that's what you do. You accept your fate. But good on the Niners. Good on Jimmy Garoppolo, porn star Jimmy, for doing this. Because I'd much rather be a San Francisco 49er than a New York Giant any day of the week. Because playing for the Giants it's almost as bad as playing for the Jets. And oddly enough, they play in the same stadium, which is a scary thought. See, we got Shamus back on the line. It's been a minute since we talked to him, but we'll bring him in here and see what he's up to. Shamus, I like the hat. How is studying going prior to next week's big test?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
I gotcha.
Okay, nice. No, studying's been really good. It's obviously been a grind. This is the biggest exam I'll probably ever write in my lifetime. So obviously a little stressed, but no, this is a great release to come on with you. I'm pretty excited because we haven't done this in so long since, I mean, it feels like a month, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's been close because I was in Edmonton and we didn't do last week. So yeah, it's been probably 3 weeks for sure. So yeah, it's been a hot minute. What have you been up to this summer? Kind of tell people what's the last couple weeks. What have you been up to other than studying?
Yeah, no. So anyways, any way to get away from studying and get away from the book. So I've been hitting the course quite often, which has been up and down, which can be poor for your mental health, as you know. But other than that, I went to a wedding last weekend for a cousin. Had a great time there. I got to see you also on Sunday, which was nice to catch up. But other than that, yeah, just relaxing, trying to use my back deck, which we built in the spring. So I've been using that all the time, and that's been fun too.
The only thing about the back deck, man, is winter. It's more stuff you got to shovel.
Yeah. I'm. You know what? It's good exercise though, and
True.
maybe I'll be
True.
like you. Maybe I'll wake up at 4:30. I'll be out there shoveling,
Yeah.
get my steps in, and hopefully I'll have calf muscles like you someday too, because those things are massive. So gotta start flexing on those.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. When you don't lift weights, something's got to be large on your body, I think. Other than my cheeks, but
Ah, cheeks aren't bad.
no, but no, that's good to hear. Obviously, and we obviously wish you the best of luck next week,
Thank
and
you.
we know you'll do well either way. But you mentioned the course, and I wanted to get your thoughts on. So we talked Sunday about the Tour Championship, and
Mm.
Scheffler had a 6-shot lead going in, and I was very down on the event, and that bitch slapped me because it was actually a great last round. But what did you make of the whole scene and the format in general?
Yeah, well, I think we both talked about our displeasure for the format, but it ended up being exciting, like you said. It ended up being a little bit of a race, and nice to see Rory come out with it. I had to say, I had to make this comment. I'm not a big fan of the kiss ass of the family. I didn't like that. Everyone. I see it all the time. I see it online all the time on Twitter. Oh, class act. Rory goes like, no, like it's not a class act. You beat him fair and square. He clearly had some kind of collapse with a 6-shot lead, and you're able to lap that up. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting. Obviously, I don't think it's not a major, you know what I mean, and it's not ever
Mm-hmm.
going to be viewed as a major. I think it's a decent event, and I think there was a great list of guys who came right down to the 30 this year. I can't argue with any of them. They were all great golfers. Some guys who just popped up on tour this year, but still had fantastic years. Um, but still, yeah, no, it's just doesn't spark the same interest for me personally. I know some golf nuts will love it, and since it's been around since 2007, when I believe Tiger won the first one, it
Yep.
has been a staple on tour. But yeah, I mean, I'm much more excited for a guy like Will Zalatoris to win his first PGA Tour win than for Rory to win his his third PGA, whatever you want to call it, Tour FedEx Championship.
Yeah. Yeah, that was exciting too. The first leg of the playoff, other than Will Zalatoris taking 20 minutes to decide where he's gonna hit his ball from the rock, I was about ready to. Me and my father were about ready to kill him that day. Dad, I got
Snap him in
3 holes
half,
to
DW.
complete, and he was ready to snap. But Dad's favorite golfer is now Sung J M. He's a big
Oh yeah, I
Sung
like Sanjay.
J.
That's
Yeah,
Casey's too.
he wanted me to live bet Sung J M, which I thought about it, but then he bogeyed 14. I said no, but good. I love him too. I
He's
take him in the
young
golf
too.
pool a lot. Yeah, he's only. I couldn't believe he was 24. He's only a
I
year older
know.
than me. But yeah, I don't love, like you said, I don't love the format. But something I said yesterday is you see 6 guys today leave for the live tour. But the live tour will never have what the PGA did on Sunday, Shay, which was just competitiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could tell how bad they wanted. Like Sung J M when he missed that putt that would have put him at 21 under, and it was so close. And you saw his face, and he was so happy to get second. Of course, the biggest payday of his career.
Yep.
But Scheffler and Rory and that putt that Rory made on 15, which is incredible in the atmosphere. Nobody's at the live events. They don't have a TV audience. They're playing in Boston this week. No, okay, great. Nobody's going to watch it. They're going to watch college football, at least
Exactly.
I will. So I think the competitive nature, the PGA Tour still has that upper hand, and that's important. I think just for the long term health of any business franchise, whatever.
Yeah. So what's Cam Smith going to go there and start lighting it up? Well, that seems like a lot of fun to watch if he's winning every weekend, or his team, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, whatever format they decide to roll in. But yeah, they whether it's shitty golf or good golf, you still need some kind of competitive nature, or it's just a shit show overall, in my opinion.
Right. Like,
Any league in the world has got to have two guys who are going to be at the same level. You see it with men's tennis where it's Djokovic and Nadal right now. I'm trying to think of other.
it's must see TV when they play, right? Because it's so
Yeah,
damn competitive. Because
yeah, it's going to draw people in.
you know what they're doing. Even Serena Williams last night, I saw this morning. I think it had 6.5 million average viewers last night for Serena Williams for a first round match. Things draw you in, competitive stuff. Where if it's if you if it's Tim Donaghy and the fix is in, who's gonna be that interested in watching it? They're just not, because it's not that compelling of a product.
Yeah, yeah. So who are some of the other golfers that took off for the Live Tour? I don't know if you already
So
said.
it was Cam Smith. One that surprised me, hurts me a little bit. Joaquin Neiman left.
Oh, yeah.
I think he will compete for majors forever. He won the Genesis. He's as you know, a damn good golfer.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Leishman, he could go.
Yeah,
Nobody's gonna miss him. One that I think is more important than people are talking about today is Harold Varner Jr. the third. He's one of the few black golfers on the
mm-hmm.
PGA Tour. We want to talk about inclusion. We want to talk about growing the game, which is what Greg Norman has said forever, which is a crock of shit. But him leaving is a bigger deal to me because there are so few guys. You think of Sahith Theegala, who's kind of emerged, and you're starting to see like Sung J M and more Korean golfers, but just black golfers, they're very few and far between on tour right now.
I can only think of Tony and Harold. Those are the only two guys on the top of my mind.
Yeah.
I know there is other ones, but yeah, like to be more prominent one, and Harold had a good year this year too. So yeah, it does suck to see him go.
Yeah, so Harold and Cameron Tringali and Arabin Lahiri. So 6 guys joined the Live today, but again, a few guys of notoriety. The rest are just some names that you hear. Did you know, I just mentioned Tim Donaghy, that there's the Untold series. They do a lot of different stuff. They did the Malice at the Palace documentary. They did the one on Monte Teo a few weeks ago, which was fascinating. They're doing one that drops today on Tim Donaghy, who, for everybody that's not aware, Tim Donaghy was a ref in the NFL, in the NBA, and he used to fix games, and he got caught doing it. And I guess a 2-part series on Tim Donaghy that drops today on Netflix.
Wow. Yeah, go check that out. I watched the Mouse and the Pout. That was a really, really good one. They know how to make a good documentary. That's something I'll be interested in for sure.
Yeah, I'm especially because I listened to an interview last week about him, a guy who wrote a book about Tim Donaghy, and he basically said the guy was like an egomaniac. Like he thought he knew what other refs' tendencies were, and he'd bet on how games would finish just based on referees. And I guess he was a really shitty bettor, and he didn't know anybody. He was just a pain in the ass. But I'm curious to see how he's portrayed, because I think in a lot of these, the villain gets a good edit in these Untold documentaries. The Monte Teo one, the catfish, now
Lady, yeah.
Transgender woman, to me was shown in a more positive light than I would have liked if I was Monte Teo. I'm curious to see how Donaghy looks in this documentary.
Yeah. There's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of opportunity for that. I hope they keep going with that series, keep rolling them out. Even throughout the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of NBA, we'll go to Chet in a second because I'm depressed about Chet Holmgren. But
yeah, I heard.
I don't know if you saw it today, but LeBron James was on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Okay.
And he was on the cover with his 2 sons, Bryce and Bronny.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on the cover and it's in the magazine. He's saying he wants to play with both of his sons. We've heard that he wants to play with Bronny, but now I guess Bryce might be better than Bronny.
That's what I've seen too. Yeah.
So, and I mean, it's a lofty ambition, but what do you make of even SI putting this on their cover?
Oh, well, they love LeBron. Like, let's just get right. They know they want the clicks. They want people buying, and they know that LeBron still sells. He'll sell for probably quite a while, probably into the next 3 or 4 years. Yeah, this idea that he's going to play with his second son to me is just bogus. I think it's clickbait. I think he's trying to draw people in, and I just don't think it'll work. I think it's a good story right now, but that's ambitious to say the least. Even I can never see LeBron as a bench guy riding the bench, but like say he does the old load management, maybe he's like what he had to be 46, maybe 45 by the time Bryce gets into the league. Yeah, that's going to be tough. And you're also banking on both your sons being good enough to be in the NBA, which I've seen. I mean, you've seen highlights and you've seen Bronny seems like a good player. He'll probably go to D1 college, but will he get past D1 college? Probably not, my opinion.
Right, and I'm not even sure he's going to be a top recruit.
No, he
He
won't
said
be.
he'll play, but I don't think he'll be like a 5-star because the way people talk about him, he's not all the way there yet. They don't know if he hasn't really gotten better over the years. He's kind of plateaued and stayed the same. I'm not even sure he's going to be like a Duke player. You'd think, well, LeBron James' son will go to Duke or go to one of the best colleges. I don't think it's this could be the Ball family where two of the three, there's two brothers, but LeVar always said his three sons are going to play in the same team. Well, LaMelo never made it. And I think maybe that's tricky if LeBron wants to play with Bronny first and he never makes it to the NBA. That's a little awkward, and that'll be a cringy piece even more in a couple years.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think more people will forget about it than actually hold on to it. Like, yeah, there'll be some hardcore sports fans who are saying, that was a bad take. I mean, can't believe you guys turned this way. But obviously, the hope that it happens right now is going to make them money, which is why they're doing it.
Right.
LeBron's been. I mean, think of like you talk about Chet. Like for one, he of course he never means to hurt anybody, and obviously that wasn't. But because he is the player, so he is going to get some of that blame, which is kind of funny. And then I see this story about him hyping up former teammates before they get traded, so their trade value goes up. He clearly hyped up Kyle Kuzma. There's another player, maybe KCP too, before he departed from LA. I think that's crazy because he's clearly using his influence as this megastar. Yeah, as just saying like, yeah, you should get this guy, like he's really good, but clearly, and then the fan bases think he's really good. Maybe Washington's fan base thought Kyle Kuzma was going to be better than he was, and then but it's just funny that like a guy like LeBron can do that, where his presence is that widely respected.
Yeah, because even the other night, he tweeted about the Monte Teo documentary, and then it was trending on Twitter that people were watching it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm blown away that he has this much influence. But yeah, I mean, he's played in 2 pro-ams this summer. He played the crossover one with Jamal, and then he also played in LA it's like the inner city league there that there's I guess some really good players, but he played in that one too.
The
That
Drew
Kyrie
League
was supposed to play in, but the Drew League that he never showed up, which big surprise there. But is that surprising to you? He's 37 and he's playing in 2. Maybe he didn't make the playoffs, so he wants to get a little rust off. But I wouldn't love it if I'm the Lakers. I'll tell you that. Just giving him an extension, and maybe he could have easily been Chet Holmgren, and he could be
right. Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't love it either if I was the team he was playing for, but you're not going to say no. You're not going to say, "Oh, LeBron, can you not go?" Like he's going to do what he wants to do, and that's just the power he holds. For him, maybe it's just about getting his name out there. Maybe he doesn't even care about playing. He probably doesn't care much about the guys he plays with, which may be a little shallow, but getting that notoriety playing in these leagues, because I think the last time he played in the Drew League, he might have been like 23, 24.
Right.
So clearly he was a young guy. So I think it's just about, getting the clicks online and getting that name recognition out there. Being this guy, okay, well, I'm not so high and mighty that I won't go play, in these lower level leagues just because I'm who I am, right? So he'll go do that. Obviously, it grows the popularity of the league, but then it also helps him or it helps his perspective out of being like that kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm surprised because you see a lot of clauses in contracts where you can't go snowboarding, you can't do all the I think Kevin Durant, he can't play street ball because he used to love to when he was young, and they didn't let him because he'd play in Harlem, and they just find him on YouTube playing against me and you. And you'd be like, well, what the hell, KD? Like, what if some guy undercuts you and you blow your leg out? Then that wasn't worth it. So I'm kind of surprised LeBron doesn't have that. That Tatis can ride a goddamn motorcycle. That Chris Sale can hurt himself riding a bike, which
that Kyler Murray has to study his playbook.
Kyler Murray has to study and stop playing Halo. I mean, what common sense if it was only more common. But
yeah,
let's get to Chet.
Okay.
Chet Holmgren. I was excited to watch the Thunder, really for the first time since like 2012, where they made the finals and they were somewhat relevant.
Yeah.
They had Serge and James. They were fun that year. I was excited to see Chet. I think there were nights he was going to get exposed, and he played really well, and I was just curious to see. And they got a decent roster with SGA and Lou Dort, a couple Canadians there.
Yeah.
This is tough, and it doesn't look well on Chet with his, a long-term career as well for me.
Okay, so who do you most think of when you see this player? He's long, he's white, he's skinny. Who do you think of?
Well, see, I wasn't thinking White. I was thinking of another big man.
Okay, who are you thinking of?
But I'll give you my name, and then you can give me yours.
I think of
Greg Oden.
I think of Porzingis.
Okay.
And because he's a little skinnier than Oden, but that's a fair point too. And why I think of that is because Porzingis throughout his career, since he's been on 3 teams now, his health problems always seem to get in the way.
Yep.
And I think there's this. It must be this this understat that says this guy is under 200 pounds, but he's 7 foot tall, so he's got limited muscle. I'm not a what you call him, not like an occupational therapist. Yeah, I'm not nutritious, but I can tell that that's probably not good for his body.
Right.
And you made up a good point on Thursday, I think, in your thing. This, it's not going to be sustainable, and this is a guy that's really intriguing to the league. If I'm him and I'm his OKC, I'm saying, hey, listen, I know you like to shoot, and I know you're going to have to adjust your shot based on how much weight you put on, but you need to put on a little bit of weight. It's almost like the opposite of New Orleans, big guy.
Oh, Zion.
Zion Williams. Yeah, Zion. So it's almost the opposite of Zion, where he has to take off weight. I think he has to put on weight in order to be sustainable, because he's going to get banged up. He's, if he doesn't have this certain leg muscles, he can come down and probably easily tear his leg. We've seen it with Kevin Durant, who had surgery in the past on the same thing.
That Paul George injury, like Paul George is more girth now than he used to be. Before
right.
Remember when? Oh, that was such a gross.
For Team USA, yeah, unbelievable injury. And those things do happen naturally. It's not like just because being skinny it will happen just because of the sport. But I do think it does play into it. But I have a list of 6 guys here who missed partial or missed all of their rookie years, and I want you to tell me what they all have in common. Okay.
Yep.
So I have Joel Embiid, Blake Griffin, Ben Simmons, Nerlens Noel, Michael Porter Jr., and Greg Oden.
If I think of most of those guys, a lot of them are bigs. A lot of them can't shoot, as I think about it.
Fair.
I will say for most of that list, Shay, a lot of them have come back.
Yeah, that's good.
Embiid's been great. Simmons, he's been a multiple-time All-Star, so I mean he's got his issues, but
Griffin's been All-Star for a few years.
All-Star, 10 years in the league. Other than Oden, there's really no bust there.
Yeah. So all those guys were top 3 picks is the common theme between all of them. And what I think helps that is that, there's been a lot of speculation that Chet's career is over. Oh, like he's never coming back. Well, all these guys were top 3 picks, and all for the most part, and not Greg Oden, obviously, and Nerlens Noel can be questionable, but they've all had promising careers past their first year. So I don't think it's for anyone to just like go up in arms and say, well, this is it. This is going to be his career. Like Joel Embiid had a lot of question marks because of his injuries and his first year in Kansas when he was playing with Andrew Wiggins, whether he was going to be sustainable or not, because he was always injured. And now he's one of the best players in the league, hands down. So that could be Chet as well. And you mentioned it too, that if they tank, and they pick up another good player, who knows? Maybe in a couple of years they're much better than they would be if he was on the team.
Yeah, and if I'm OKC, I'm not playing him this year because I think they'll shut down guys. They'll want to get a high pick, like you
Right.
just said. And I bring him in next year fresh, and he's like a rookie. And you kind of work it that way. You have two rookies on your team, which can be difficult. My big concern, Shay, big men have problem with their feet. That's going to happen. It always has. Greg Oden, that really got him out. He couldn't. It's just his feet. It just happens. You see it
Yep.
all the time. I wonder if he just can't put on weight. There are
Maybe.
people that just can't. That you say, could you, I think there's multiple NHL guys that you say, could you put on 10 pounds? They can't. They can eat 10 steaks in a row and they won't put on a pound. And I think they must have told him to get in the gym. I think he's lifting weights. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I'm sure he did it at Gonzaga. Maybe he's just a guy that can't put on weight, and that is ultimately the biggest concern here.
Right. Which makes you think that would have played a factor in being drafted, obviously, so high.
Yes.
Why you draft a guy with such a, and this would have to come out too. I mean, obviously, something Gonzaga would probably disclose that he's a guy who's been trying to put on weight and just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, it's very concerning for me. And like you said, this was a kind of a high. It's a good rookie class, but obviously this was like I think you put it, the flair of the rookie class with this guy, because he's so intriguing and he's so different from any NBA out there. And my comparison, Porzingis. Well, guess what? He's much better defensively than Porzingis, and he's probably more consistent shooter. So that's a scary combination that we'll never get to see this year.
And something I like, and the play he's injured, he tried to block LeBron.
Yeah.
I'm
Not many
I'm
guys
cool
do
with
that.
Like, geez, he's trying to block, the great one in the game right now. He's not afraid to try to do it. So I give him credit for that. It's just unfortunate. It's a Liz Frank foot injury. It can be a very bad one. Saw it with Matt Corral in the NFL. He's out for the season. So it's an injury that's a pain in the ass for sure. RJ Barrett got a rookie extension last night after Utah and the Knicks. They had a deadline. I guess the Knicks put a deadline on them, which take one if you ask me. But they signed RJ Barrett to a 4-year, $120 million. The rookie, it's a max extension for a rookie. Let me ask you this, hypothetical. If you're the Knicks, if you can have RJ Barrett for next season or Donovan Mitchell, who do you want?
Just for next season?
Yeah, no salaries.
No salaries.
Salaries are the same. It's a 1-year deal.
I'd probably want RJ Barrett. I'd take RJ. Yeah. I just think that he's got a better cap, and I know we're only looking at that year scale, but I think he is going to improve since next year because he's improved every year since he's been in the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he had a really, really good year last year, and good for him for getting paid for it.
And he was with nobody.
Yeah, him and Julius Randle, who died off pretty quickly into the season. So, I feel bad for him though, because I mean he's making good money, but this team is still not going to be relevant next year, which is a pain. Like their starting lineup's going to be Brunson, him, Fourier, Mitchell Robinson, and then Julius Randle, and then some cast of characters like Derrick Rose and Alec Burks coming off the bench. They're not going to be an attractive team to watch, in my opinion, and they don't really have a star factor.
No, they don't. And I agree with you about RJ and I hear the rumors about Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks, and I somewhat get it because the Knicks are so desperate. They're so bad.
They need something.
But Donovan Mitchell has been the best player on Utah for 8 years. Long time. Really since he got there. Maybe Derek Favors was better than him for half a second. But since then, he's been the best player on that team. If he gets traded to the Knicks, even with Jalen Brunson being there, Donovan Mitchell will be the best player on the team. If I'm the Knicks, you might not be good this year, as you just mentioned. I completely concur with you. They're not going to be a great team. They're going to be not even that interesting to watch, which you got to take it on the chin. But Knicks fans are used to that. I'd rather build something and wait till the next superstar wants out of a team or a next free agent, because acquiring Donovan Mitchell, who has multiple years left on his deal, and likely having the same season as you would with RJ Barrett just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, there's no point in taking, half a step forward when you might as well just stay where you're at and take three steps forward in the next
Right.
upcoming seasons. There's going to be good players that are going to come up, and it happens, all the time. But yeah, you got to wait for something bigger. I don't know, and I think RJ's deserve this deal, but do I think that it's going to impact them signing a bigger player later down the road? Yes, because of concerning the money with they just gave Brunson, who came over from Dallas. So I'm a little concerned about that. Obviously, New York will spend. Obviously, they don't really care. I believe the same owner owns both the Rangers and the Knicks. So like clearly he gave Artemi Panarin too much money. So clearly he'll give anybody too much money.
Yep.
So it's going to be difficult, I think, to land a bigger name. But if he's willing to pay, then that should be fine. That need to build around. They've got a great player. Barrett, I think, can be maybe not a superstar, but I think he can be a star in the league. So you give him somebody else to play with and keep Randall there, maybe you'll have some success down the road.
Yeah, I think they had a decent offseason for what they could work with. I think Mitchell Robinson has more to give there.
Me
I
too.
think he can be intriguing. I like him. Fournier, my God, the fact that they brought him back and the Celtics had him for 5 seconds, they couldn't stand him. They get rid of him during an NBA Finals. That tells you how good he was.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, he's not my favorite player when he's on the floor.
There's a former Celtic still unsigned. I don't know if you know if you can. I'll give you a hint. He's been a Laker. He's been a Houston Rocket. He's been an Atlanta Hawk.
Rajon Rondo.
True. Not who I was thinking of.
Oh, no, okay. Sorry.
He had frosted tips for a hot minute.
He had frosted tips when he was playing with Boston, or is this afterwards?
No, when he was with the Hawks. Kind of a sixth man who thought he was better than what he was. Turned down a long-term deal from the Lakers.
Oh, Dennis Schroeder.
Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, he's with Houston now. He's going to be a backup guard there, or at least I think so. Yeah. I think he's with Houston, maybe not. He could be unsigned still. He had a lackluster year. That was a highly disappointing. What was he going to make with LA? He was going to make something really crazy. Like
I think they offered him like $18 million a year.
Okay, so yeah, almost 20.
Yeah,
and
you'll never get that money back.
No, that's a clear indication of your agent telling you you're better than what you are. Get a new agent. Yeah, you fire him pretty quickly, just like Freddie Freeman did.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman and John Klingberg. You're not going to be on next week because you're writing your exam.
Right.
I wanted to kind of talk NFL with you for a bit because you won't be on to start the season, and I kind of let you take over this segment. So I'm gonna let you take this wherever you want to go with it, and we'll go from there.
Okay. First, I have a subtle announcement. I thought about long and hard what you said when you and Casey were on about being a Browns fan, and I'm going to revoke being a Browns fan for the season, which means I won't have to see Deshaun play. I probably will see him play because I'll be watching other teams. But no, I decided I'm not going to be. I won't support that. Obviously, I thought about it long and hard, and there's no reason, so I'm taking the year off from it, and we'll see what happens next season. Maybe I just quit the team because now that Baker's not there, it's not much to love. Right. But so I'm just going to be basically following a handful of teams closely. I haven't decided which teams, but I'm going to follow them. I'm going to, definitely watch at least one of their games, maybe two of their games every weekend / into Monday if they play Monday. I haven't decided the teams. I'd love your suggestions if you had any. They can come from any division. Doesn't have to be a particular division.
Let me ask you this. Do you want an interesting team or a really good team?
I'm going to try and do all scales. So, I might have one team that's not great, but I just will watch their games to see them get pummeled. I might have a team that's interesting and has a interesting dynamic, whether it's coach that's on the blow or something like that, and then I'll probably have one team that's good because I have to watch good football sometimes.
Okay, I'll start with a good team.
Okay,
I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills
Okay.
because Josh
Bills
Allen
mentioned.
is one of the funnest players to watch. Explosive offense, really good defense. They're the Super Bowl favorite. So I think Buffalo is an easy team that I think will be good. They're in an interesting division too, so you get to see them play the Dolphins twice, who are an interesting team with Tua and Tyreek and everything they have down there in South Beach.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Patriots of it all. So I think the Bills are going to be a good team. I'll say the Bills.
Okay.
Interesting team. This is tying back your roots to the Browns. I'm going with the Carolina Panthers. Baker Mayfield is in Carolina, your former boy.
Mm-hmm.
They traded him. I think the Carolina Panthers are going to sneak into the postseason. They're one of
Okay.
my hotter takes, if you will. I think they're going to make the playoffs in a lackluster NFC. Christian McCaffrey's health is paramount, but when he's playing, he is must-see TV. You have Baker, who's always entertaining. And the Panthers are a desperate team. Their coach is going to be fired if they miss the playoffs, in my mind. So I think they need a good season. I think they're going to get it. Baker has a lot to prove. Panthers, Browns, week 1. Interesting little game, revenge game for Baker Mayfield. So that's my interesting one. Bad team. I love bad teams.
Yeah. I have a few selected for you later on that we'll
I
get
can't
to.
pick the Bears because they're just so bad.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I can't do that to you. I want you to have some fun watching the NFL. I'm gonna go with Jacksonville.
Okay.
Jacksonville, who back-to-back first overall picks, got a new head coach in Doug Peterson. Trevor Lawrence finally is a coach after Urban Meyer is gone, after he's done kicking kickers and whatever the hell else he's doing down there in Jacksonville. So he's back working for Fox now, talking about college football. So good for him. They got their defense isn't great. Look, they're gonna do their preview in a couple days. Their defense, pretty bad. But their offensive players aren't bad. I think Doug Peterson will help Trevor Lawrence. I think it's just interesting to watch them just to see how Trevor goes from year 1 to year 2, what kind of progression he has, and if they're building something that can be something in the
Okay.
future, if it's something that can be sustainable. So I'm going to say Jacksonville, and I think they'll be better. I think they're over-under on FanDuel is 3.5 wins. I take the over.
Okay.
So
3 wins for the year?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
I think they'll have more than they'll for sure
I
have more than 3.5 because I think they'll beat the Texans twice because Texans are worse than them and they're in their division.
True. That's a fair point.
I think they could beat the Titans this season in their division.
Yeah. I actually had Jacksonville for you for teams to watch that were going to be bad and understood. So I'm glad we're on the same page with that one. Yeah. Other than that, I got the Browns missing the playoffs. That's a hot take. I think even if Deshaun comes back heavy, I'm just thinking this team still doesn't have it in them. I think Tyreek Hill won't be the same wide receiver as he was with the Chiefs. That's just something I've seen more videos of Tua throwing to him, and there's just passes where I'm like, God, that guy's last name was Mahomes. That would have been a touchdown. That would have been 6 points. Yeah. So I think he's going to dip this year in stats and fantasy, whoever plays that. And I think the Raiders are going to take the AFC West. That's my hot take.
I like that.
Yeah. I know that they got the worst quarterback out of all 4 teams.
I don't know about that.
Who do you think's worse, Russ?
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. So I don't know.
I have them finishing last. That's for sure. I have the Broncos finishing last.
Okay. The big upset. Yeah, no. So and that's exciting, and that's a team I plan to follow a little bit more this year. They seem really interesting. I love, they seem like they got a good receiver group now, and they're gonna be tight. I like Josh Jacobs too. He's an exciting player to watch. So yeah, that'll be a team I'm all over this year. Hopefully get out to see a Vegas game too. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Raiders are interesting. That whole division's super interesting.
Oh, it'd be exciting.
With the Chiefs and with Herbert with the Chargers.
Yeah.
And Russell Wilson's in Denver. So yeah, that's an interesting division. Do you have a Super Bowl pick?
I have my Super Bowl for the year is going to be the returning Rams playing against the Bills. and I have the Bills win.
Opening night.
Y-
Opening night is going to
Yep,
be the Super Bowl. Okay.
and I think the Bills will win.
Okay. Bills take the Super. So the drought is over for Buffalo. They finally win
Well,
one.
they got this experience, right? Like it's not like they've been a team that's been missing the playoffs year after year. Like they've started to pick it up a little bit in the last few years. So
Mm-hmm.
they played a really weak division, obviously. I think with the coaching changes that have happened in with the New England team, I think that they won't be strong this year. I think that's bound to fuck up. And I don't know. I just see the Bills kind of dominating, and I think they're going to take that next step.
Let me ask you this: does Josh Allen win the MVP?
No, I don't think so. I think
No.
there'll be another player, but I don't think he cares. I think he's interested in getting to the grand prize and getting
Right.
Buffalo what they deserve.
Yeah, he's the betting favorite on FanDuel. I think Mahomes is second. Herbert is third. He's high for
Mhm.
MVP. Brady's in the top five. You got Aaron Donald in there.
No Rogers.
Yeah, Rogers seventh or eighth. He's won two in a row. I just can't see people voting for him again. I think people are so sick of Aaron Rodgers. Him going on Joe Rogan this week and talking about
Perks.
vaccination,
Yeah.
following that back up, and him doing his ayahuascas for lovers and all the other crap he's doing. I think people are just sick and tired of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm pretty sick and tired of him too, to be honest.
Did you listen to the Joe Rogan Aaron Rodgers interview?
No, I have it docket. I have it saved on my phone, but I haven't got around to it. There's only so much Aaron Rodgers I can take, so I'll
I
probably.
listened a half hour and I had to stop. I'm gonna listen to the rest of it, but I like you said, with those, in particular with those two together, it's a lot.
What was the ending point? What did Rodgers or Rogan say to say like, okay, I got to shut this off?
Well, they just kept going on about vaccinations for like 30 minutes, and I was just like, okay, we're past it. Like, okay, you didn't get it, good for you. Like some people
Yeah.
did, some didn't. Like, why does this have to be brought up again? And then I archived this because I wanted to tell you, and I sent this to my mother, and I nearly fainted last night when I saw this article. It's by Clay Travis. He works for Fox Sports. He is a piece of work. Anyway,
Okay.
this is the title of his column. Novak Djokovic, Kyrie Irving, Aaron Rodgers are modern day heirs of Muhammad Ali.
Your mother probably lost a
Because they
phone.
didn't get vaccinated. That's the about the piece that they're Muhammad Ali. That's the correlation.
I don't know how this guy still has a job
Me
at
either.
Fox. Like that's
It's embarrassing, man. That's such
it's
an
embarrassing
embarrassing
for them.
piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, unbelievable. I mean, I'm not gonna say that that I'm not like you have to or I hate you, but at the end of the
No,
day, when
no.
you're influencing over millions of people's lives and millions of people's health, I mean, it's get it together. Like you got to think about more than your own
Yeah. And
safety. And
Muhammad Ali didn't want to go fight in a war that he knew was not right, which he was proven correct on. They didn't get a stupid jab. Like there's no. I saw that last night on Twitter, and I just said, "Oh my God, this guy!" And he's on their college football Fox show, and I'm just like, "Oh, this."
you got to watch them every week.
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, yes, I do, which I'll have to suffer through. But Lord knows I'll do it. So there you go.
All right, I got a couple teams I want to show you that stray away from the Devils. I know you watched. You told me, or you think you said on the pod, you watched 56 parts of Devils games
Yeah,
last year. That's a
yeah.
bit sickening.
It is
I don't know what's
sickening.
worse, that or preseason NFL, but yeah,
There's no
probably the
bad joke.
Devils. Probably the Devils, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I have a list of two teams from each league that I want you to
Okay.
consider taking on, and some facts about each of them and why I think you should watch them. You ready?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'll just say, I teased this earlier that we're gonna play this little game where I asked Shay for help, where I wanted him to kind of present me with some options for teams to follow. I like to follow a bad team in all
Oh, they're
sports.
bad teams. Yeah.
Yeah, and they got to be bad. They can't have much hope. Like I said, 56 or 57 Devils, parts of Devils games last year. That's sickening. I can't believe. I went back and looked up data. You can track what you watch on
Oh,
TV and
really?
things like that. It took me like 2 hours, and I did it. And I saw how many hours I watched the Devils, and I even got sick to my stomach with myself. But nevertheless,
How many Yotes games? If you had to guess, you might not know the exact on the top of the head, but
it was over 10.
yeah, see that's
Couple afternoon games.
yeah,
But
Buffalo,
I'm
Arizona
excited.
afternoon
I'm
game.
excited. Let's start with NBA.
Okay, that's what I have first, anyways.
Perfect.
So first, this team obviously not great. They had 25 wins. This is the second year they had a head coach. They just acquired a young star. You know who I'm talking about?
Just acquired a young star. It's not Sacramento. That's who I thought you were gonna pitch me.
It's the team. It's the team they traded to.
Indiana.
Indiana. I have the Indiana Pacers, and you're gonna think, what the hell would I watch this team? They're gonna be bad, dad. But I think this is a fresh start for Halliburton. Whoever doesn't know, last year there was a big trade that happened between Sacramento and Indiana, basically trading Sacramento's, I would say, the messiah for Sacramento away to Indiana for some players like Sabonis and a true of other players. Some picks were involved. Buddy Hield, who I think went the other way.
Yes. Yeah.
So here's why I think you should watch Indiana. Indiana is going to have a fresh start. They have a fresh, new, young player, new point guard that I think could completely change the team over. Rick Carlisle is a good coach. I don't blame last year on him. He was just dealt a bad hand, but he's proven to be successful in places like Dallas and some other few stops. On top of Halliburton, they've got a guy named Chris Duarte. I'm going to say I think he's from Quebec. He's a young guard. I think he's going to be compelling. He was a rookie last year. I think he played really well. Miles Teller and Jalen Smith. Miles Turner, not Miles Teller. This isn't Top Gun Maverick.
Charlotte Bobcats.
Miles Turner, proven great defensive player. I think he's exciting to watch. He's always animated, which I love. And Jalen Smith just got traded from Phoenix last year. He's a 7-footer. I think he's got a lot of promise. He wasn't given that much of a chance because he was playing behind DA last year. So and then when he got there, he was proven he had some successful games, even off the bench. So this team, I think, has a lot to promise for, and I think they will be good. They're up and coming, and I feel like now that they're past Sabonis, I feel like there's definitely some issues that were resolved, and I'm interested to see where they lied, and I'm interested to see if they get past 25 wins.
I like that. I like that pitch. I like Halliburton a lot.
But they won't be good, which is why that's a criteria for
Perfect.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
They draft high, so they're gonna get a new rookie in the lineup. I like that.
Yeah.
Duarte, I watched in college at Ohio State a lot. He was good there. So, yeah, Indiana's it's not a bad sell. I like the cut of that. The only thing I worry about there is if they flip Russell Westbrook to Indiana in a potential trade. I can't do that. I can't watch him. But
you think?
I just think they want to be bad, right? Like I think they want to get a high draft pick, and they know
if they get
if
Russell
Keller and say Buddy Hield on that roster, they're going to be competitive-ish.
Yeah. So you think they'll trade those two for Russ, and then they'll just tank?
I think they'll trade those two for Russ if they can get the first-round picks from the Lakers.
Right. How many? Like 2 or 3?
I'd want 2 for sure, because even though Russ only has 1 year left, you have to put up with Russ. But I think if they get him, they'll buy him out.
Right. Because they're going to be that bad. Right.
Yeah.
No, that makes.
I think that'll happen.
Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't happen because I don't want to see someone like that mess with the growth of this Halliburton, who's going to be a really good player. But
right.
Yeah, it's happened before. On the other side, Houston, young core, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Jabari Smith Jr. They've got a ton of young guys who seem very promising, and Boban is there now, so I think it'd be interesting to watch. Another team that's not going to be good, but I think they'll climb the scales, and hopefully they take that next step. The young stars were proven last year, and hopefully they'll be the same this year.
I like either one. Both one in the West, one in the East, and I think Jalen Green will have a big second year because I think he was good last year. I think he's just scratching at the surface because I think a good NBA player, a really
Yeah.
good NBA player.
Yeah, I think he can take it higher as well. And some of those other guys can too. Yeah, that's what I did. I picked one from basically each league. Moving to the NFL, we already talked about Jacksonville. I think it's intriguing. They've made some changes. They've picked up Kirk and Ingram, two guys who weren't there last year. So they've mixed up their roster a little bit, which I enjoy. Trayvon Walker, if he plays, he's not hurt, is he?
No, he'll be there.
So yeah, he's interesting, number uno numero. So yeah, so a team that's worth watching. And yeah, like you said, new head coach instead of Buddy who's cheating on his wife at his own bar and getting caught.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, I have the Lions. This is going to be an interesting team. Aiden Hutchinson seems like he's a monster. I literally watched a 15-minute reel tape of him yesterday of just killing guys left and right. So I think that's entertaining for anyone who's looking for like a great defensive player to turn. He's highly routed as a defensive rookie of the year for this upcoming season. So it's got to be good. And yeah, just a team that seems like they're finally making steps in the right direction.
Yeah, I think the Lions are going to be good. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they'll be competitive.
Yeah.
I think their best season in a long time.
Yeah.
I think their over-under's at 6. I'll take the over for next season. That's on FanDuel.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe lay a futures bet on that, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Jared Goff back. And we got some skilled players. Dan Campbell, all we know about Dan Campbell is he's going to bite a kneecap off, and it doesn't matter if you got one ass cheek and 6 toes, he'll kick your ass. That's what he told us on Hard Knocks. So that's what you can expect from Detroit Lions week in, week out.
Over under on Jared Goff getting sacked 30 or over under 35 last year.
I'm going under.
Team's better this year. You got
like their
confidence.
Offensive line. Yeah.
Okay.
They got a pretty decent offensive line. I'm going to go under for sacks. Yep.
Okay. I love that. Love that. Yeah, no, it should be good too. I don't know much about it, but there's a lot of hype around this. Is his name Amon St. Brown?
Yeah, Amani St. Brown. From Green Bay. So he's got some talent. They got Jamison Williams, who's coming off an ACL injury from the University of Alabama. So he'll be fun to watch. They got TJ Hawkinson, who's one of the best tight ends in football. They got some interesting things in Detroit for once, which they've never been able to say since Barry Sanders left the league 20 plus years ago. So that's something to go watch in Ford Field this year.
They had Megatron, didn't they?
Yeah, but even then they weren't good. They didn't win a division.
He was just fun to watch because he was
never won a division with Stafford and Megatron.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's
kind of pathetic.
Stafford didn't win a playoff game there. Leaves for 1 year, wins a Super Bowl. Oy vey.
Finally, leaving on a high note, in the NHL, team that I want you to watch. You're probably going to watch a lot of them anyways, but just something other than the Devils every other night. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Sabres. I know you root. Well, you don't root against Toronto, but you like the counterparts. So I figured you might as well go across the pond. And yeah, pick Buffalo to watch for once. This is going to be the past Eichel phase, or post Eichel phase. Sorry. Same thing happens with Buffalo every year. They just got off to a rotten start, and then they can't find it. They just can't find their season. It's pathetic. But this is the first year that tons of guys are just going to be playing their full seasons since the trade. Krebs and Tuck coming over, who I think are going to be electric. I think Jack Quinn's. Yeah, Owen Power's going to play his first rookie season. I think he's going to have a really, really big impact with the short little span we get to see at the end of last season. Matthias Samuelsson is a guy who I love. He's just a brick shithouse. He played 40 games there last year. I think he's going to be amazing. Dahlin quietly had 53 points, I think, and no one's talking about him because he's in Buffalo. And Jack Quinn, goal scorer, dominated last year in Rochester in their American League. I think he's going to come up, and I think he's going to be a big piece. I think he's going to make that transition. So yeah, Buffalo's a good team.
All those young guys. Dylan Cousins is in the mix there.
Yeah.
They got Craig Anderson, who's 50, back in the net.
So that's why they're going to suck, because they can't have no goaltender. That they're not going to be winning many games, but it's going to be interesting to watch how these guys.
Competitive than they were last year.
Well, you see, at the end of post Eichel, they were competitive.
Yeah.
They had a fire that was laid under them. It's like, okay, there's new guys, there's new blood here. Let's go. And I think led by Tuck, who seems like a really good leader in that locker room. He seems like he
Mhm.
wants to be there. I think he is a guy who's okay. I'm not under. I'm not in Vegas's bottom six anymore. I'm in a top six position. I can be a star in this on this team. So I think that's a lot of motivation for him to play well.
Yeah, he is a leader, and he gives his heart every night. You're gonna get the best effort from Alex Tuck night in, night out, and I think that's important for Buffalo and Don Granato, the coach, because he needs guys to buy in and give effort, or you're gonna get embarrassed most nights, because 95% of the league has more talent than you do and
Yeah,
more experience.
absolutely.
So you need that work ethic to be competitive with the rest of the league.
Yeah. And the counterpart to that, the team I recommend because I don't think they're going to be very good, and you might think otherwise, Vegas. I think it'll
Mm.
be an interesting team to watch. You're going to have Eichel for a full year. You just traded away Pacioretty, who was a 30-goal scorer for you, and for nothing, basically just to keep. You brought back Riley Smith, who I didn't love that signing, but obviously he's got history on the team, and you have no goaltender. Same as basically they traded for Aiden Hill, who's a fringe starter at most, I think.
Yep. Yep.
So what is this team going to be? Is this team going to be a bottom feeder, or is this team going to compete in a really weak division? It's kind of up in the air. If they play like they did last year with no, with basically no heart, with no beat to their team, then they're just going to be at the bottom again, which it's going to be very interesting considering how much money they pay their players.
Yeah, they're interesting, especially because they got rid of DeBoer. So Bruce Cassidy comes over, which was kind of he gets fired from Boston. I think he's going to be motivated to have a good season with that team. He's a hard-nosed coach. He'll be tough on some of the guys. I'm curious to see how he gels with Phil Kessel, because Phil Kessel just gives no effort most of the time. So I don't know how those two are going to mesh. Even with Eichel, I think Eichel, he's got his games where he likes to float around. He has some William Nylander in him where he just kind of floats around the mesh, and that's not going to sit well with Cassidy. DeBrus sat on the bench for a while in Boston, and I think that's a big reason why DeBrus rescinded his trade request, because Bruce Cassidy's no longer there as the head coach. So I'm curious to see how he approaches the team. And as you mentioned, Aiden Hill, Laurent Brossois, and Logan Thompson. There's no starting goaltender there. Logan Thompson hasn't proved himself to be a backup in the NHL. Aiden
Right.
Hill has had a spurt, and Brossois, he's a backup. That's just what he is. He can play 20 games a year.
Yeah.
It, it could be another tire fire of a season in Vegas, and that's going to go up in flames quick if they don't get off to a good start.
But it's interesting, right? Because
Oh,
like,
extremely. Yeah.
yeah, that's what entertainment and like that signing by Phil. Why does Phil sign there? Obviously this is post knowing that Robin Lehner is hurt clearly and is gonna be out for the season. He's not. It's not like he's signing there for $7 million or $6 million. He signed there for $1.5 million. What? Why would he go there? What's the spark?
I think the perception in Vegas is that they're always competitive. So I just think when people go there, they expect the team to be pretty good. And they are in a weak division, so they do have that benefit for them going forward. So I think for Phil, he even made a comment in his opening media that it was nice to get to play for a team that actually wants to win something, taking a shot at Arizona the second he leaves. But I think he probably thinks they can be a pretty good team, and it might be a long shot. Maybe they find a goalie. Maybe there's a goalie that becomes available in training camp and they scoop him up.
Mm-hmm.
But he must think that the team is going to be competitive, and I think he likes the locale too.
Yeah, I think he loves the locale. He's a big golfer, so I think he's gonna be on this. He's gonna be out there most days. Yeah, no, it's good. So other than you're gearing down with obviously with baseball. I mean that's coming to a close. But what have you been watching on TV that's different than you know sports?
Yeah. I guess I watched Blackbird, as I
Yeah,
told
you
you.
recommended that.
I love that. I watched the Monte Teo doc. What else have I watched recently? Um, I'm watching The Wire, so I'm watching a few episodes of that every now and then. Nothing. I'm waiting for Rings of Power. That comes
Me
out later
too.
in the week,
Me
and I'm
too.
excited to watch that. I want to see if it's any good. I guess they're spending like an enormous amount of money per episode. It's like a crazy amount for just the way it looks and the scenery and everything. So I'm excited to watch Rings of Power. I'm not gonna watch House of Dragon or Dragon House, whatever the Game of Thrones spinoff.
I meant to ask you, is that because of the bad taste that the final 2 seasons left in your mouth?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So you wouldn't even give it a try, even knowing if it was totally different or if you heard good things.
Maybe I'll give it a try. Maybe I should. I just that last season of Game of Thrones was so bad and so poorly done,
Yeah, I agree with
and
that.
one of the worst cinematic experiences I've had. And it's just it hurt me. I read the books; they were good, and George R. R. Martin, his fat ass, couldn't finish the last book, so they had to come up with this, and I, I don't know. I'm excited for Rings of Power. I wanted Ted Lasso to come out. They're not announcing that, which pisses me off because I want to watch that. But yeah, I'm excited. Are you gonna watch Rings of Power on Amazon Prime?
I think so. Yeah. As you know, I do carry a couple shows with me. As a
You,
prolong.
yeah.
Yeah, we went over a list not long ago, and it's extensive. But my goal is to finish Ozark this week slash weekend so that I can start that next week. It'll be like a little celebration for finishing my exam next Friday. So yeah, uh,
How many episodes of Ozark do you have left?
we are on 10. So 10, I think 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
So you got
Yeah.
about back half of the season.
Yeah. Been good so far. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Just haven't found time to watch the rest of it. So finishing that before I start something new. That's my goal.
How does your exam work? Is it one day? Is it multiple days?
So
What's the
it's
format?
basically 3 days, and it's all case writing exams, but they take about 4 to 5 hours per day. So I'll start at 9, and I have to go till whatever 1 or 2 o'clock, and then I'm done for the rest of the day, and then I come back the next day. Yeah,
So
yeah.
is it in person?
It's in person in Moncton, at the new hotel across from the Avenir Center.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, nice one there.
you
Yeah,
have to wear a mask for the entire thing.
that's irritating.
Yeah, today I was my first day. I practiced with a mask on, and let me tell you, it was not enjoyable. Yeah.
So are you staying in Moncton or traveling?
No, I'll stay in Moncton. Yep. I'll stay. Actually, I'll probably stay at the Crown Plaza, so I can just walk across the street.
Right.
Yeah. So not looking forward to it, but I'm looking forward to being over. So it's
Right.
dual
Right.
dual sword there. But
No, well, for everybody here, best of luck.
thank you. I really
And
appreciate that.
we know you'll do well. And like you said, then you're done. Then it's next week. So if you're done Friday,
Yep.
that means you can watch NFL all weekend.
Oh yeah, buddy. That's the plan. That
Mhm.
is the plan. My ass is going to be sitting in a seat on September 11th, not doing anything, and I'll
Right.
probably tune into the Bills and the
Rams.
Rams a little bit because you're not really supposed to study after.
You need a little reprieve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Looking forward to that. Do we have a winner? Do we already predict a winner? Or is that for next week?
Probably do that next week.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Okay.
do
I
my
don't
Super
blame you.
Bowl prediction next week. Got my quarterback list coming out next week.
What day next week? Like the list do it.
Monday, I'm gonna do my quarterback list. Wednesday, I think I'll do my Super Bowl stuff. Super Bowl
Okay.
predictions. I'm gonna predict every team that I see making the playoffs in each conference. Working on that currently. And then Thursday, I'll preview the game. We'll pick a winner for that. We'll talk about the betting line for that game. And then every Friday is going to be a big gambling day on the podcast for college and the NFL. Comes to lines, good bets, bad beats, things of that nature. So that's going to be the Friday format moving forward for GTP.
Looking forward to it. You know me, I can't make my own bets for myself because I usually pick losers. Sorry. But no, I love what you're doing with the recaps and everything that's happened over the off season in the NFL. I really enjoyed those. So keep up that great work. And yeah, we'll be talking to you probably in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, my friend, and best of luck, as I said.
Thank you. Take her easy.
There's Shamus Fillmore, everybody. Great to talk to him. It's been a few weeks and interesting. Just bounced around today. Lots happening in the sports world, so we could have went in a lot of different directions. Talked about the Live Tour. We talked about NHL rumors, NBA stuff, because that's popping up. It is late August, but there's still news. And I want to just going to check before we wrap up the show today about any pressing NFL news when it comes to cuts, when it comes to trades. It is 4 p.m. Eastern, so that's the time rosters have to be set. I expect a few things happen. Just going to load here, see if Adam Schefter has anything on Twitter that is pressing, that is interesting to report. We'll get more into the U.S. Open tomorrow. Watch Serena's match last night. Incredible to see all the celebrities out there. Her get the win. Seeing her daughter in the stands was really cool. Canadians went 4 for 4 yesterday. Rebecca Marino, Leila Andy Fernandez, Felix Auger-Aliassime, and Bianca Andreescu getting wins. We also got today, Canada's playing U.S. at the Women's Worlds. I think it's tied up right now. I'm going to head home and catch the end of that if I can. So checking here, nothing pressing before we go. Just want to see if Schefter had any cuts. Raiders waive Leatherwood, as I said. That seems to be the last big name so far. There may be a few that come into play as we move forward, but that seems to be it for now as we head in. But tomorrow we'll talk about the U.S. Open. We'll get into some baseball stories. The Blue Jays got a win last night, which congrats to all the Blue Jays fans out there. I heard from a few of them. You beat the Cubs. You should be proud of that win. Yankees lose again. Ohtani dingers. Pujols hits home run number 694. Now 6 away from 700 as the Cardinals pump the Cincinnati Reds. So we'll talk about some baseball tomorrow. We will get into the U.S. Open the first couple days in Flushing Meadows. And we'll also talk about the AFC East. Preview show tomorrow, AFC East. So we'll mix that in as we did yesterday. Thursday, we're going to do AFC South and AFC North preview. So double dip on Thursday. And then Friday, Matt Wright will join the show to talk about the first gambling show of the season, the first betting lines. So join us live if you can on Friday, because you're going to get some good tidbits on what to do gambling before Saturday with the official week 1 of the college football season. Great show today. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday. Take care, and as always, this is To The Point.